Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and this one's a very special video for Lee Russell, one of my Patreons. I've got two tiers on my Patreon of $40 a month where they get to answer. I have a question answered in a video, and this is Lee. So Lee, thank you very much. Sorry it's been a little bit delayed by live, but I owe you another one as well. So if you're watching this, Lee, let me know on Patreon for your second video, and I'll get that done for you. Lee's actually sent me this message about a month and a half ago, and what he actually said was, it was based around current news at the time about a two-summer transfer ban. In the worst case scenario, if it actually happened, and what would it actually mean for our squad? So I'm going to kind of just riff off this idea a little bit, because it's quite interesting, isn't it? Now, I don't think this will happen. I don't think Lee thinks this will probably happen either, but it's quite an interesting little case study, the idea of what we would do. And I'd go through the squad and look through it individually. I would go through each position and just work out where we would be if this did actually come to fruition. It'd be pretty bad, let's be honest. In terms of goalkeepers, I guess if we couldn't sign anyone, and I'm going to presume before we signed anyone this summer, we would have been left with obviously Ederson. Bravo would have stayed around, and I'm going to guess we keep Muric or Grimshaw around the first team. So it kind of wouldn't be really many changes down that front. Obviously, we keep Danilo and Kyle Walker, so we would kind of be okay for the right back slots. I think we would have offered a lot of money to Vincent Kompany to stay a year, but obviously after that, we wouldn't be able to sign anyone in the summer after that. So I think we would have had to integrate maybe Academy lad quite heavily in this coming season to be prepared for the next season. My guess would have been maybe we might have returned someone like Tosin Adebayo from West Brom to give him a go, or maybe more realistically, we would have started to use someone like Philippe Sandler with a few games. He's obviously a little bit old, he's played a lot of pro football over in the Netherlands, so maybe we would have started to use him. Eric Garcia could have got a look in as well. Obviously, he had a bit of this season in the Carabao Cup, so those two would have started to get some games. We definitely would have told the likes of Otamendi that they're not leaving. Stones Laporte would have been around. So defensively, I think Kompany would have done us a favour for a year before returning away. He might have left, which would have definitely left us up shit creek with that paddle. But I think we would have offered Kompany a lot of money to stay, and I think out of honour for the club, he probably would have stayed around for one more season because he would have seen this coming. I think Kompany left because he knew this wasn't going to be a problem and all that kind of stuff. Defensively, on left back, we will basically once again would have been left as we were. We would have seen maybe Zinchenko and Mendy, as it's going to be the case next season. No changes on that front. We would have done more and more to keep the players we've got, and we could have maybe seen some kind of a game time pre-season for a couple of young academy lads. We've got Jeremy Frimpong and Alfred Dionku, some very good fullbacks, both are right backs, but they can play at left back, so maybe we would have seen a little bit of focus on them as well. Into midfield, Fernandinho and Gundogan obviously would have stayed. We would have offered Gundogan a lot of money, and he would have been there going, right guys, my contract's running up pretty soon, you're going to have to give me some money, and you can't really do much about it. And we would have been genuinely stuck, so we would have to offer him quite a bit of money. So Gundogan, I think, would have signed on, knowing that his place would be secure for 2 years, with Fernandinho getting pretty old. Fernandinho would get very old, and at that point we'd be fretting a little bit. So I think what we've done maybe was appeal once again for Douglas Luiz to get a permit like last season, and hopefully that would have gone through, given the transfer ban, given the fact that he was obviously going to get games, given the fact that we can't sign anyone, and maybe that would have gone through. If it didn't, Matt Smith had a great season over at Vitesse in the Dutch second tier. I know he's only the Dutch second tier, but he would have maybe been an option as well on that front. He's been playing for Wales recently. I think would have got him back a little bit, or maybe exercise our option to maybe recall Palaversa, that lad we got on loan at Hajduk Split in January coming. I think we can recall him because he's registered a Manchester City player. Maybe not. So we'll have to double check that for me. But I think Matt Smith and Douglas Luiz would have had a bit of a chance maybe to become involved. In terms of the academy lads, maybe we could have traded Felix Lemaitre up a little bit. Who else? I can't really see any of them getting in from the current team. Tommy Doyle would have a decent little chance of being trained around the first team. Maybe he would have got Carabao Cup games, because obviously any big injuries would have done us in, because we can't sign anyone for like 18 months after a few months of the season has started. So we could have seen more academy lads involved. David Silva, once again, he'd been around a little bit. Foden would have become more and more prominent as time progressed, because he would have to play plenty of games. And then Kevin De Bruyne, obviously Bernardo Silva, Leroy Sané, we were tied down to big contracts. He would have got a lot of money out of us by this point. Gabriel Jesus would start to get plenty more games as Aguero starts to wind down, because we needed to see if he's the real deal. And maybe the likes of Ian Carlo Poveda would have got a bit more game time. In terms of academy lads, the ones out on loan, Manu Garcia might have been brought back in as well with a little bit of an attempt to see what he could do. I can't really see many of the loan players actually returning and getting games. Maybe Patrick Roberts could have been. He's gone on loan to Norwich now, so maybe they thought, well, we could maybe need someone else. But in terms of wide players, you'll kind of well start with Sterling, Sane, obviously. So, and then Morris, of course. So maybe we wouldn't see much on that front. Lucas the Major could have come in maybe as a striker, as a backup after a decent little spell at Preston. Not a groundbreaking spell, but someone you could have maybe had a closer look at. There was also that lad as well. He was on loan at New York City. I forgot his name now. Yangel Herrera, a pretty good midfielder. He could have got a little bit of look in the pre-season to see if he was eligible and available for a few games, or good enough at least for the quality of the squad. It'd be interesting. We'd see a bunch of players who have been out on loan, all that kind of stuff. Maybe one or two getting more of an extended looking pre-season. And we'd see the odd academy lad getting more game time in Carabao Cups and all that kind of stuff, because they'd have to be ready for the season after. I don't think we'd play Fernandinho and the likes of Gundogan as much in Carabao Cup. I think that would be devalued a little bit. I think we'd play Tommy Doyle, maybe we'd play Jeremy Frimpong or Dionco or something like that. Maybe we'll see Eric Garcia and Philippe Sandler getting more games in the cup competitions, because they'd have to be ready for the season after. It would be terrifying, but it'd be kind of fun in a weird way. I suspect we wouldn't win as many games as we had in the past 2 seasons for obvious reasons, because the likes of obviously Kompany, if we convince him to stay around, would be really old. David Silva as well, 2 years from now. Fernandinho, these players would be looking to leave eventually. It might be the case as well that some of these players would want to leave anyway, you know? It's going to be very difficult to keep all these, even without a transfer ban. And they might think, I'm getting old now, I'm nearly 35, some of these players. I might want to just move on, all this kind of stuff, and see where my career goes. And at that point, we would be basically stuck with the academy players or the loanees, which isn't always a bad thing. It kind of can be fun. I don't think we would have been successful, obviously. We would have lost a few more games. We would have been out maybe some good competitions early. But it would have been quite an intriguing experience if we'd done that. In terms of Guardiola, it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back for Guardiola. I mean, there's no real straws at the moment. All that kind of stuff he looks pretty healthy. You know, everyone's really happy. But it might have got really taut and frustrating for Guardiola, and he might have thought, after this 2-year spell, I'll stay to the end of the contract and then I'll go after that. Whereas with this transfer budget and the young team is building, he might have stayed around. But overall, though, weirdly, we've got such a young squad and we've done such a good job at recruitment. I think we would have been mainly okay. There would have been some hitches down the line, but I think we've done a pretty good job that we could have developed a young side that would have took us forward for a couple of years. Still would have competed for the Premier League and might have even won a couple of them. One, maybe at least. It would have been a weird thing, but it would have been an interesting case study. It would have affected, obviously, our standing in people's eyes as well. To summer transfer ban, it would have had a negative impact off the pitch in terms of our PR, and it's pretty bad anyway overall. But people wouldn't take us any more seriously, and maybe people would have been a little bit more reluctant to sign for us going forward as well, fearing that we might have then, as a result of this, end up getting some kind of Champions League ban or something like that. Or maybe not. The one thing we would have had, it was a big budget 2 years from now. We would have had a lot of money to spend on a lot of players, and we would have seen a summer unlike no other summer before. So it would be a very interesting case study. So once again, I think we would have paid a lot of money to sign a bunch of old players down to long-term contracts, which would have gone against what we would normally do, but we would have been left with no choice, basically. And then we would have seen the likes of maybe Eric Garcia, Philippe Sandler, Douglas Luiz, maybe Patrick Roberts, Tommy Doyle, and a whole host of academy players getting a bit of a chance to really make a name for themselves. Maybe Muric eventually would have been second choice, or maybe got a lot more games in a couple of seasons from now. It'd be quite an interesting a take on it for fans of academy football, that kind of stuff, but it wouldn't have been an overly successful compared to the recent ways. But I don't think it would have been too bad, if I'm being honest, but it would have been not ideal. Anyway, Lee, that's just my take on that question. I hope you enjoyed that, Lee. If you want to get involved, patreon.com/Esteemed Company. This is the $40 tier, which Lee, God bless him, and Justin Kirkland have been involved in. There's still the $10 tier. We're doing a Patreon Q&A as well very, very soon, which is probably already out actually before this video, so make sure you go and check that out. And Lee, once again, thank you very much. Thank you all as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think would happen if City got a 2-year transfer ban. Oh, terrifying, but fascinating at the same time. For what it's worth, it's not going to happen, let's be honest. But it's still an interesting question anyway. Anyway, guys, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you soon.